What Elon Musk has done is he's liberated this for $44 billion, right? Privatized it,
Right.
and said, you know what, go back to saying what you want to say. If you're Republican or Democrat, you can still use the platform. I'm not going to punish you for your opinions of the world. I might not agree with them. I might not agree with your hatred.
Right.
But I will still allow you to have a platform to share it.
Right.
Now, if that hate turns into harm, then there's something wrong, because you should not weaponize this. But if you want to use it to share your ideology and your beliefs, that is the beauty of this mosaic of this world. We're not a melting pot, we're a mosaic. And mosaic, like all this great artwork around us, are basically pictures of colors and images that flow together in a perfect harmony so that we can automatically appreciate this and look at this and go, wow.
Here we are. I feel like today is a new day. We're here in a new dimension, it seems. And here on my left is none other than the Wayfinder himself. I'm here with Dr. Ravi Singh. Thank you so much for being here. You know, you're a man that's hard to really give a proper intro to. I'm sure those of you at home could just type his name in at this point, and you'll see a plethora of amazing, legendary stories, acts of kindness, compassion, you know, leadership stories, things that I'm excited to learn about today. So thank you so much.
Very kind, very kind. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for being here. And I guess my first question, we're gonna just jump right into it. What do you feel is your why here in this time, this place, and this era?
You know, the reason why we exist, the reason why we do the things that we do, really go back to the how. You know, the way we've been brought up, right? We tend to always think that we're doing these things because our parents didn't treat us right, or we didn't have the right opportunities, or etc. And then when we go towards the future, we're scared to try to do the things that we should do. So my why and my existence is yet to be found. I'm defining it every day. And it comes from the ancient Sanskrit word called seek, S-I-K-H. And a seek is someone who's always seeking for knowledge. And as a member of the Sikh religion, that's exactly what we are trying to do. We never stop learning. So there's no graduation day for life. Every day is a learning experience. And so we have to wake up and realize that we're going to class, and what we thought we knew yesterday has completely changed. And what we're going to find out about ourselves will only help us evolve. And as we're learning, the why then becomes into levels, right? So when I was born, I was 1.0, right? And then I upgraded to 2.0 because I got fed all this education. Then 3.0 is I got to go find a job. 4.0, then I got to build a family. 5.0, I have to have kids and educate them. 6.0 is that I have to find a way to retire so I can grow old, right? And then 6.0 is then the fact of actually growing old but staying healthy in the process. And then 7.0 is finding a nice way to die and still enjoying the things so I can leave a mark, because I know that none of this stuff will go with me. So if you understand the journey of life, it's the same journey. We'll all die, we'll all pay taxes, right? These are two inevitable things. So the why of our existence comes down to how we live.
Right.
It's not really why we live. That is yet to be discovered. I wish there was basically a manual to say what I was going to achieve, right, or what I'm going to do. Here today, we're in Taipei, Taiwan.
Yes, indeed.
2 American boys,
yes,
right?
Indeed.
I mean, how cool is that, right?
No,
So, a guy with a turban, right? Sitting here, with a Tom Hanks accent, right? You know what I mean? We are experiencing life because we're living life. And so if the world doesn't come to you, you go to the world.
I feel like your accent is a little bit better than Tom Hanks, though. Now, you definitely have a nicer
thank you.
cadence and flow, but, shout out. He's a legend.
Yeah, he is.
We spoke a little bit, off cam, and, I truly feel that you're an epitome of what I feel this term or this podcast we've created represents, this idea of going beyond the hustle and fusing the idea of entrepreneurialism and spirituality with that ever-seeking journey is, as Maslow's hierarchy has tried to explain in terms of our path to self-actualization. Do you feel being in this industry, because, people watching this, I'm sure already know what you have achieved and have created and have done. Do you feel these are just tools for your own spiritual journey and vice versa? Are there spiritual tools? How do you find balance between that?
Well, let's clearly, for everyone out there, understand that spirituality and religion are completely different, right? Spirituality is the path, right? I want to do good things. I feel good when I achieve things. There's a almost moral consciousness that speaks to you and pats you on the back and gives you a reward, right? That is universal, But at the same time, there's religion, and religion says this is the path you're supposed to follow. And if you follow this path, you'll attain nirvana. You'll attain salvation. So there are those that follow the path of religion and those that try to be spiritual. But one cannot be religious unless one is spiritual.
That's right.
So if you blindly follow the path, we're just basically parrots, yapping away, doing the routine, etc. And then we can never ignite the light that's inside us. And when we can't ignite that flame in us, we lose the purpose, the why of why we exist. And that flame tends to die down, and we gravitate towards another lover, or we gravitate towards wanting to get another car, or we look at Maya as an attachment to try to attain these things. Now, when you and I met, we hit it off right away, right, because we're in sync. You're like I said, you don't understand it. Your destiny is to amplify the messages of the world. That's a gift. And so what happens is that there are people with voices, and there's people who take those voices and share it with the world. And that's what both of you guys are doing, and that's fantastic, because that in itself is an honor, right? Because many people don't have the luxury to come here to Taipei, Taiwan, and go to the blockchain conference or other things. But as we do this ride of life, we have to understand that we can't let the life ride us.
Right. You said something that really resonated with me too, that I think the big juxtaposition, maybe when people encounter you, is they get a very spiritual sense, and then you start talking about AI, technological, how to use X to its maximum potential, how to understand algorithmic engagement rates. I find that so fascinating that you've armed yourself with the most cutting edge tools to even amplify your spiritual pursuit of well-being. You said something super wild to me. You said you need to plan better. And I want to just say that about, we met Abi.
Yeah.
We met Abi.
Yes.
Shout out Abi. And Abi, you told me read your chart.
Yes. Vedic astrology. He's for all you guys out there, he's a Vedic astrologist.
Right.
19 years old.
Right.
Predicted COVID before it happened.
Right. 80% success
Predicted
rate.
the Hamas war before it happened.
Right.
Amazing young man.
Right. And people know about him. You can search this man up. We'll put a little pop up for that. But what I found most interesting, a little bit about what we spoke about, was that, we spoke about this idea of these captains or these kings on these ships. And in the old days, they had these seers, these
That's
people
correct.
who read the stars for them.
That's correct.
I found that very intriguing that you spoke to Abi and your first inclination was, Abi, I need you to read my chart.
Correct.
How should I plan my business accordingly?
Correct.
Tell me about those motivations.
So unfortunately, astrology, has a negative connotation because people think of it as a sort of a mystic art or etc.
Right.
But in essence, it was one of the first sciences.
Right.
Right? we look at planetary movement, and at the time of our birth, the distance between the sun and the moon in which we were born has a distance. Now that distance also has a distance that affects us in this location.
Right.
So if you could take the charts at the time of your birth, if you could look at the stars at the time of your birth, look at that constellation, and then see how that constellation moves throughout the world, you would know the latitude and longitude of where you're going to have the most success. Because as the latitude and longitude is affected, we, just like any other animals, are affected by planetary movement.
Right. We're 80% water. What happens when the moon is full, right?
So when we're irritated, we have anxiety, when we have depression, these are not created by you and your past traumas. These are also moved by the planetary movements. So if I know that I can remain in a positive state, we go with the flow. And if I have to make a decision on this day rather than that day, it'd be great. And in the old days, they used to use astrologers saying, I don't want to go to war. What's the best day for me to win the war?
Right.
So the king would make the decision, I'm going to go to war. Okay, fine. War is a bad thing. But he would go to the astrologer and say, what is the best day, the optimal day for me to move my troops and start the war? And when is the best day for me to stop and have a best chance of winning the war?
Right.
And so if we can understand when we are at our peak performance, we are not like an energized bunny where we'll go, 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 go.
Right.
It's impossible.
Right.
Even the battery will decrease in intensity.
Right.
So intensity of our lives are measured by the planetary movements. So what Vedic astrology does, it maps out where those energy intensity is. So instead of making $1, I can make $1,000.
Right.
Same act, same thing I was going to do, but I have a better chance of making $1,000
Right.
if I understand the planetary movements.
Right.
And that's what he does. He cannot tell me my future, he cannot tell me my destiny, but he understands the stars' rotations at the time of my birth. And then he measures that and says, you know what, Dr. Ravi, if you're going to do this business deal, you might want to talk, or this guy, stars don't match up with you. You guys will have problems. So you might want to put someone in between you.
Right. This is super fascinating to me too. As you know, I'm half Taiwanese. And Taiwan has a practice, purple star astrology.
Yes.
Right, and I find that so fascinating that there's parallels to this, this relationship with the cosmos and how it can better harmonize our relationships with each other.
Yeah, well, it's the same world.
Right.
We're all from the same divine light.
Right.
Right? We're just taking different paths towards the same goal. Right? And, maybe Hinduism goes back a little bit further, but it's all one and the same. I definitely believe that this science has been passed down, so recognizing it is very key. I mean, I think you have to understand that there are mechanisms in place for us to interpret, and we're stupid if we don't actually pay attention to the science, right? I'll give everyone just a quick example. If you have a gut instinct or you have a deja vu, right? You go, oh, wow, I need to do that because it's you know which way to turn.
Right.
How do you know that? How do you create that gut instinct? It's because of the planetary movements. It's the energy of the sun and the moon. It's the position of Saturn and Jupiter that's causing that energy in you.
What gets you hyped? What gets you? What keeps your battery full?
The ability to have tender, loving care.
Right.
TLC from other human beings is the fuel for humanity. Showing kindness and reciprocation, right?
Sir.
This is a great gift. We should do more of it. As I told you, no one can give you happiness, but happiness is in the palm of your hand. It's right there every day. You just got to take it. But if you wake up in the morning and you look at it and say, I don't want to be happy, you won't be happy. So I always look at things that make me happy. And if I get a little bit, I had a moment today with a young lady, right? And I shared with you, and she said some beautiful things about her life. And because I was listening, I was able to share those happy moments with her. Even though I never was there, I never lived there, and these were things, I was able to enjoy that happiness. I was able to share that happiness with her.
Right.
And that gives us fuel to keep on going on. So I always look at, every day is my birthday, as my father would tell me.
Hey.
And, you should be definitely gifting yourself every day.
Yeah.
Live the very best of your life every day.
Yeah.
And when you go to sleep, if you wake up, congratulations, you've been gifted another day.
Yeah.
Because there's a good chance that we might not wake up. I think millions of people die every night.
That's right.
So I think we are blessed, so don't get caught up into the family, don't get caught up into the relationship, don't get into Facebook or the social media stuff, don't get caught up in the problems at work. You know what? Learn who you are and take care of yourself just like you would take care of, someone would be taking care of you.
I mean, you're segueing perfect because the energy I'm getting is I understand that you have a great relationship with your mom.
Yes.
And, even in my life, my mother is what I feel is my true north. Talk to me a little bit about
Moms?
my Mama Ravi Singh.
Mama. My mom was born and raised in India. She got married when she was 19 to my father. She had skipped about 3-4 grades.
Wow.
She was the head girl of her class at Loreto Convent School. And my mother has dedicated her life to making sure that we grow up with strong cultural customs and currency values. I'm going to tell you what those are. But in the process, she gave up not becoming a doctor. I was accidental. In fact, my father and my mother just recently told me that they were going to abort me. And the reason why was because my mother had an x-ray done several times because they had no idea she was pregnant.
Wow.
And back then they didn't use the lead. So my mom prayed that, etc. So I think maybe the reason why I messed up is because of all those x-ray gamma rays. But
the reason why your brain on something else.
Maybe. But maybe that's the reason why. But all joking set aside, my mom didn't even give up on my birth before I was born. When our parents conceive us, scientifically, our father determines our sex. Our mother gives us birth. As she's carrying us, we're breathing inside, and the nurturing and caring of our development is all connected to the mother. I mean, getting pregnant is mathematically like winning the lottery. How are we all getting pregnant? I mean, it's mind-boggling.
Right, when you really break it down.
So the essence of life and mother and moms are basically our physical creator. If you wish to find God, you first look at your mother. If you wish to find a divine light, respect your mother. You don't have to agree with her. But that tolerance, that acceptance of your existence with her, that patience that you learn from her, that scolding, that yelling, whatever it is, that upbringing, that is as God is trying to raise you. And so I look at my mom as my living God, my living deity. I respect her. I touch her feet when I see her, which is the traditional Indian way of showing respect. Even though I was born and raised in the United States and my parents have never asked me to touch their feet, I don't know any other way to say, Mom, I'm grateful for you not aborting me, for giving me life, for giving me this existence, and giving me this $1 million education, a PhD, an MBA, an MA, an MS.
Right.
This is a gift.
Right. Truly beautiful. And I feel like, as people read about you, understand you, I can go on. You've broken some boundaries in your time here on this earth and being the first in many fields. How do you feel you embody that spirit of rebellion in your approach to business and life? Because I feel like you have trailblazed.
Let me first tell you that's a really powerful question. Thank you for asking that. I don't think I've ever answered it. The trials and tribulations I faced, I would not want anyone to face. They were never intentional. And with every single trial and tribulation were also a lot of tears and torment. And with that, I was able to develop and become the person I am today. If you look back from military school, being the very first Sikh to wear a turban in the U.S. Military Academy, that was a very hard challenge. I mean, I got bullied as a kid, a different color uniform. I had the U.S. Army saying that I was not even a cadet, and this was the country that I was born and raised in. So it was hard. I would get demerits every day, and I would be told that I'm useless, I'm not worth anything. That has a mental effect on you. But thanks to Ronald Reagan, I graduated with full military honors. I graduated as a second lieutenant. I got commissioned in the National Guard, and my goal was to go to West Point. Now, in college, I got bullied during the Persian Gulf War, and that was a whole nother thing. In Valparaiso, Indiana, which used to be the head of the Ku Klux Klan. And so, small town mentality. But the people of that great city changed their view. And eventually I became student body president of the university, 98% Caucasian.
Wow.
When I did my master's degree at Northwestern University, the lieutenant governor's office, the chief of staff, quote unquote, said, "We cannot hire you because I think your turban will get in the way." I was the first Asian American to ever be elected in the lieutenant governor's office, appointed, sorry. And I told him, I said, "No, I don't think that my turban will get in the way." He goes, What? I said, "The ceilings here are pretty high." But I think along the way, my parents have taught me not to be fearful of these challenges.
Right.
So it was never to rebel, right? And the most recent one was basically taking on the U.S. government. United States versus Singh, Singh versus United States. I mean, it was like unbelievable.
Right.
Like I never thought I would actually even be in a court case. And then I had to keep my mouth shut. I couldn't even tell anyone what was going on.
Right.
And I faced countless discrimination. The government prosecutor changed so many times. As a software vendor, to be accused of election conspiracy for the very country I love,
Right.
that was hard. But my mom again reminded me. She goes, "It's not the government. It's the people in the government. It's the people in the FBI. It's the people in these things who are bad. The FBI is not bad. These people are bad. They're ignorant. They don't know." So what did she say? "Go become a PhD in social media." I said, "It's not even a thing." In the year 2016, I get a PhD in social media and AI in less than 2 years. And then, since my topic was Donald Trump, they wouldn't give me my PhD because I proved a new theory. I proved that Donald Trump wasn't angry. And again, I had to wait. And so 6 months, somehow, within 30 months, I got the dissertation because very few people can get their PhD in 2 years. But I proved something mathematically correct. They could not argue it. Statistically, it was there. And my MIT professor said, "Look, irregardless of how we feel about Donald Trump, Ravi's theory is mathematically sound,
That's good.
etc."
That's wild.
So all these trials and tribulations, have been tormented, but they have been tearful. But with every single one, they have made me who I am, and that's why I can live a life without fear.
And we spoke briefly again, even in the elevator up here, about this this energy that one walks with when it's their time.
Correct.
You were just telling me how, left and right, people want to start. Your phone, as we say in New York, your phone is going off the chain right now, right? Your phone is blowing up. Again, thank you for sitting down with me. But what do you think that is right now, this state that you're in? Do you feel like you are stepping into your destiny as a I don't even know what word to use. Words like
I'm trying to
words like
it's a good question.
I'm dangerous. I don't want to say the word king. I don't want to say the word general. I don't want to say the word, but I
Guru
feel like,
or whatever it is.
Right, but it feels like there are men lining up side by side with you and behind you.
Yeah. I am very blessed.
And women.
I love blockchain. I love AI. I love crypto. I love NFTs. I think they're tools that will change the world. I think there are people out there who are trying to weaponize these things against society. and saying that there are bad things. And anyone who does these things are bad people. I think that's wrong. These science things that, the divine are giving us is this intelligence is humankind is evolving. And AI is just propelling that education. The taxi cab driver is going to become 2,000% smarter next year. When you get a degree, you learn. When you get a master's degree, you become an expert. When you become a PhD, you're contributing to the knowledge. AI is taking that existing knowledge and eventually, that deep learning will eventually make it think on its own. And that's what scares everyone.
Right.
So when you put a label of where I am and how life is doing, it's these tools that are empowering me, right? Because I studied them, I loved them, and I was able to see this stuff back from Money 2020 back in 2015, and I saw the rise of Bitcoin and saw that. And I've been looking for that journey, people like you and other people who share this thing that's going on, because the whole world has to understand that we are at a powerful time where we can manifest our success. We can manifest us. You do not have to stay in your little bubble. And no boundary or geographical location now will define you. You're now armed with the tools to escape and magnify your life. So can you imagine if these tools are used for good, they're used for righteousness, if every single kid could get access to AI and automatically learn, there'd be just a constant utopia of knowledge.
Right.
When we have that much knowledge, creativity flourishes. When creativity flourishes, the world changes. And if we change the world in these next 20 years, we'll define the next 4 centuries.
Shout out Avi, right?
Yes,
Wow.
exactly.
And that's not even, Avi doesn't claim it. This is what is.
Vedic astrology shows us at this conjuncture, he has said very simply that major catastrophes have happened, but major intellectual revolutions have happened.
Right.
And I change it. I say, I think we're in an intellectual evolution that is stimulating the AI revolution.
I love that you said that, because a seed for this, the birth of this podcast, was a conversation I had with a gentleman who represents billions of capital that's being invested into the AI sector. And based on what he spoke to me, the question that came out for me was, will it be possible for 1 million people to be enlightened, so to say, when AI and robotics takes care of food, shelter, finance, and humans that are then able to
Correct.
tap into their, our true nature.
Correct. And all these founding fathers of AI and all these techie guys who are developing applications, it is sinful to monetize from this, in my opinion.
Wow.
Because this knowledge should be shared. You should not be capitalizing on this. You capitalize on ads, you capitalize in other ways, you can capitalize on SaaS as a service, whatever you want. You can capitalize on data, but don't capitalize on giving access to AI. When we restrict that, we're restricting humanity from growing. We need to enter this utopia that we're about to enter. We're leaving the age of Kali Yuga, the age of attachment, and we're now moving into the age of intellectual awareness. And in yoga and yogis, we see this. When I meditate hours nowadays, not because I want to attain enlightenment or I want to attain a connection with the divine. I meditate every day because it feeds me. I get downloads. I'm able to see things. People will call that manifestation. But if the light is not fed, how can you manifest? You manifest garbage then. You're just yapping away. Even a car needs gasoline. Even a rocket needs fuel. How can you go to the moon and say, I want to go to the moon, I want to go to the moon, I want to go to the moon, when you don't even feed and put the gasoline in the rocket? The rocket will just sit there. And all day you're saying, I want to go to the moon.
Right.
So AI is the rocket ship. It can take us to the moon. But we need to feed the light in us first. And we need to do this ethically. And that's where this world now is in this conundrum. What is it? Do the governments do it? Do we do it? Etc. But I think really honestly, it's the voice of the people. every revolution, and this is a revolution, would requires the voice of the people. I used to do political revolutions. I helped elect, 11 world leaders from Juan Manuel Santos to Enda Kenny in Ireland, all around the world. And when I did these political campaigns, I realized, and now I see my purpose. I see my purpose is that I can take that knowledge of doing political revolutions, and then rather than for monetary gain and being a consultant or a technology evangelist, I can now help humanity before I leave. It's about putting and feeding the world. We can solve the world's problems if the world gets smarter.
When did you first realize your energy had the ability to transform reality?
After my second divorce. I realized, I said, oh my God, here we go again, and I'm thinking to myself, she's the one, you're right, and she's beautiful and everything like that, and I loved her with all my heart, but you can't force someone to love you, and so, if that's her path, that's her path, but, you say, what did I do wrong? But from that hurt, emotional hurt, you dig deeper to understand what have I done? And the same lessons keep on reappearing,
Right.
Hey, Ravi, you got to sit down and meditate. Hey, Ravi, you got to take care of your health. Hey, Ravi, you got to love unconditionally. Hey, Ravi, you got to see everyone equally.
Right.
If you can't see God in everyone, you cannot see God at all.
Right.
And that's what I did. And I just said to myself, okay, this chapter now is closed. I waited, hoped that somehow it would amend or self-correct.
Right.
It didn't. So, but from that, and from that pain, I used that pain to figure out how I need to become the next level, Ravi 5.0.
What's Ravi 10.0 look
Oh
like?
my God.
Oof.
I don't know if I can live to 120.
There are some stories, though. In the Indian culture, there are some stories.
I should go on now, right? But no, Alexander the Great conquered the known world in search of wanting to live forever. And he created 22 Alexandrias. And when he did so, he understood that he would live on because Aristotle, who was his original teacher, said that you will live on in the minds of man. And now, after over 2,500 years later, we still remember this man. So he didn't conquer nations, he conquered the minds of man. He created the Alexandrias that have now recorded the world.
Yeah.
Google, Bing, Yahoo, they're the Alexandrias.
The library, like that. I mean, I'm still to this day, of course, what did we lose in that fire?
Oh my God, so much, so much knowledge we lost in these Alexandrias when they were taken over.
Right.
And there are people who think that they are the writers of this knowledge. They are not. They are the custodians. They are the librarians. So these founders who have created these platforms are not the demigods that tell us what is right or wrong. That's where Jack Dorsey made the mistake. And I don't think he did it intentionally. I think he just got caught up because what he gave us was a gift of Twitter, which became a voice for the world.
Right.
And he had a divine inspiration. I respect that. But he eventually then started deciding what he determined is the truth. And that's very dangerous. Voltaire, the great philosopher, said, I might not agree with what you have to say, but I will defend my very life for you to have the right to say it. Something along those lines.
Right, you said it.
So if you think about it, what Elon Musk has done is he's liberated this for $44 billion, right? Privatized it,
Right.
and said, you know what, go back to saying what you want to say. If you're Republican or Democrat, you can still use the platform. I'm not going to punish you for your opinions of the world. I might not agree with them. I might not agree with your hatred.
Right.
But I will still allow you to have a platform to share it.
Right.
Now, if that hate turns into harm, then there's something wrong. Because you should not weaponize this. But if you want to use it to share your ideology and your beliefs, that is the beauty of this mosaic of this world. We're not a melting pot, we're a mosaic. And mosaic, like all this great artwork around us,
Yes.
are basically pictures of colors and images that flow together in a perfect harmony so that we can automatically appreciate this and look at this and go, wow.
100%. And it's amazing that you work, your current field of study and interest is in these measurements or these trackings, these accounts of what is taking the real estate within our psychologies now.
Correct.
I think that's amazing because, of course, as you know, when it comes to art, it's all about symbolism.
Absolutely.
And now we've entered this realm, as you say, where there are custodians and there are wannabe demigods.
Yes.
Who are trying to, it's getting Orwellian, right? It's getting very 1984.
Oh, James Orwell.
Dr.
Big brother.
Yes, Dr. Ravi, how do you feel the everyday man, the human, what can we do to arm ourselves and arm our minds, that precious real estate of our thoughts?
See, the United States is still the greatest nation in the world.
Right.
I'll tell you why. Because irregardless of how you feel about U.S. politics or whoever's leading the country, the Navy of the United States protects open sea borders for commerce and trade. They don't get paid to do that. They do it. They don't stop shipments. They don't pirate them. They don't raid them. They don't take what they want. They don't charge tariffs.
The roads of Rome.
That's right. And we also do the same with the airways, and we do also the same with land. It is the beauty of the Republic of the United States of America. And these states are governed by states, not by one nation, by states, where the power of the people resides. If you don't agree with Florida, move to California. If you don't agree with California, go to Illinois. But at the end of the day, our rights as a humanity are not echoed around the world. When a federal government or when these actors try to control humanity and impose their will upon them, and we restrict these by ideologies of communism and etc., they hinder us from our growth. They might be a social ideology in framework and theory might be ideal, but in execution, when a small group of individuals or elite control it, and they only benefit, then there's something wrong. So I think we need the freedom of speech, we need the freedom of capital, we need the freedom of our voice. And as humanity grows, we need to adopt these things. We haven't gotten it right, but there is a democracy of this polarity that these technology tools are giving us.
Right.
And we as citizens have to continue to voice and speak out. In the last Indian election, one party was supposed to rule and supposed to win by a landslide. If you asked all the pollsters, everyone was guaranteed that that party would win.
Right.
But quietly, people said one thing and did the opposite.
Oh, wow.
And the majority party did not take a majority rule. It had to be also a coalition again. So the voice of the people even can be silent and stealth, right? And these highways of information that we're creating on the internet need to remain open and free.
Right.
That's where Web3's power lies.
Right. When you say Web3, for most people, they're starting to understand this a lot more. And you talk about that Web 3.0, that human 3.0, civilization 3.0. I get super inspired because when you talk about, Twitter and what it's called now X and what Elon did, I was a philosophy major. So it's like we are in these
Kant, Locke, all Hobbes, all those guys.
We are in the time now where we are listening to our Aristotles at the Pantheon, like via X. Including you, Dr.
Well,
Ravi.
you're very kind. I don't think my voice is heard yet, but I appreciate that. I think I have some opinions, and I think I do believe in e-democracy. I do believe in this notion that government, campaigns, and elections are the three pillars of e-democracy. I do believe that the judicial and the legislative branches must be fair. I do believe that participation must be fair. I don't believe in controlling the press. I do believe in the freedom of a press. I do believe that the voice, irregardless of boundaries or nations or ideology, should all be heard.
Right.
Whether they get accounted for or credited for the results of an election, their voices are all equally important.
Right.
Because we're under one roof. Whatever happens in the United States has a ripple effect in Europe and other countries. And so we have a moral responsibility to the human race that we should not be in hunger, we should not be in poverty, we should not be in these weakness. We have an obligation to take care of the world. And those that have means have to continue to be entrepreneurial And you have to understand that, what I do today now,
Right.
I don't do for myself anymore. I do because, as Anand told me, it's the mouths that I feed, the impact I'll make. So I want to create an influencer platform. And that idea will empower Gen Z people to automatically make money. And that money will be able to provide food and lifestyle for them.
To help them navigate that
Exactly.
hierarchy.
And I found a little niche. I'm focusing on that. And I believe that there has to be this because it's not there. And Gen Z is struggling. They're gravitating to the OnlyFans, and then the brands are going and basically monetizing just for monetary gain, right? And we need something that has a level at like Uber and Lyft, right? Kind of deal where, if you look at it, the millennials use Uber and Lyft to monetize, but at least Gen Z looks at, everyone looks at their social media account as a form of monetization. They all say, I want to be an influencer.
Right.
So whatever niche we're finding, whatever entrepreneurial venture you do, whether you're a coder, you're an executive, you're a designer, etc., we are contributing to the content of this picture that is the mosaic of the world that is giving us purpose in this masterpiece that we call life. And at any moment, it can be destroyed. Because when our light goes out, our participation in this great canvas ends.
That's wonderful. Now, Dr. Ravi, before we sign out, a little fun question.
Yeah, sure.
If you could sit down, 3 people, at any time in life, any time in history, living or dead, who would they be? Who would you want to sit with and have a conversation with?
So I love Aristotle. So I would love to sit with Aristotle. Just because I just have so many questions. I do believe that he's provided a framework for humanity. I do love Alexander the Great. In fact, I have some Greek blood in me,
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I resonated the first time I went to Greece, so I think that. And if there's a other person, I would love to, I think, sit down with someone like, this one's a hard one because I met him, but I never had the chance to talk to him in great depth. Mandela. And the reason why I say Mandela is because when I went to prison and I was sitting there and they told me I was going to go to prison for 5 to 7 years and I couldn't wear my turban and I was being accused of these things, I still maintained my integrity. And I thought of this man, how he maintained his integrity. And one of the things was, never let them see you cry. Let them never see you weak. And that's exactly what I did. I never shed a tear when I was in the prison system. And I would love to ask him, how he went through that, because it was a struggle for me. And even though his story inspired me, I wish I would have had that conversation, because those 124 days I ended up spending, not the 5 to 7 years or the year and a day,
Right.
They have changed my mindset that I realize. And now, because of that mindset change, I'm now advisors to publicly traded companies, and I'm advisors to kings and royal families, and I'm influencers around the world, and I don't know how this all happened. And so I think Mandela had an answer. So I would love to talk to Mandela. So my 3 choices would be Aristotle, Alexander the Great, and Mandela.
Wonderful. Thank you for sitting with me here today, Dr. Ravi. It's been an honor, a pleasure. I can't wait to...
We're done?
Well,
That's awesome.
well,
It's great. I can't believe that it was that long, huh? That's great. We knocked it out.
quality over quantity.
Yeah, that's
As
great.
they say, beyond the hustle, we're here. I can't wait to see what you do next, and hopefully, I'm on your side. Let me know how I can help in any way possible.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the time.
Thank you, Dr. Ravi.
Thank you.
Peace, y'all.